So you already know it's time to talk about it. So first things first, man, we got LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, we got Paul George, we got Anthony Davis as well. So when you think about it, there's so many different scenarios and so many different things that people coming up with as far as like deals and things like that. Right now, I think the league is kind of built on what it takes to win the championship. So as far as LeBron James, I don't feel that they will have a good enough deal to obtain him over in LA. Also, I don't feel like he would stay at Cleveland because it would take too much construction to kind of build that situation in the sense of that. But when it comes to Boston, it does sound feasible, but you still got to consider the losses that's going to be taken. I'm sure you got to, consider Jaylen Brown being taken away. Somebody might want Jason Tatum or Rozier or something, or Horford, something vital. So you really can't take away from that formula, and for them to go as far as they did, it's still something to consider as far as LeBron, Kawhi, and Paul George. Even when you break down the financial aspect, it's still issues with Kawhi and the Spurs and him saying that he want to get a trade as far as requesting a trade. You got LeBron that's in a situation where he actually has the leisure to say, I want to go here and I want to go there, but it has to be a situation for him to win the championship. I don't think it's anything financial with LeBron, but it might be some financial things. It's not in a detrimental state, but with Anthony Davis and Kawhi and Paul George, it's a different scenario. They want to go to a team where they're winning because they are productive. You got Paul George that was leading the steals when he was with OKC. As far as him and Westbrook, that's not a good way to mesh them. So I feel like LeBron, in my opinion, would fit well on the Boston Celtics because I feel like it's more trustworthiness, and they bring that young athleticism, they got drive, they got energy, trust in their bench as well. You got Marcus Smart, you got Rozier, you got Jason, you got Horford, you got Hayward coming back, you got Kyrie. I don't know how many losses they can take. I might be saying too many names, but it's still, something they got to give up to get him. But at the same time, I feel like he will take a pay cut. That's just my opinion when it comes to Boston. But when it comes to the Lakers, that's the issue. They already mapped it out. They said they will have to lose Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and they still owe Luol Deng $37 million. So they still got a lot of financial things they need to get together over there before they say anything. Not saying that's the end of it, or you feel like he can't build. It is a good franchise as far as the name and the history with the Lakers. So I feel like they got a lot of overhead that could build a nice team, And also, you can't forget that even with Boston, they still got the Sacramento first-round draft pick. That could be another formula that fits in to help LeBron as well, jumping back into the Boston side of things. But LeBron, I just feel like at this point, for him to chase these rings, that's what I know that it's about at this point when it comes to these decisions. But with him, personally, he want to take one of those guys under the wing. He might want to take Kawhi over, AD or Paul George. That's just my opinion, because Kawhi is the formula. He is the defender and the scorer. You need a full team. It shows that's what you need to win championships. So we can talk about it all day that, LeBron is the greatest player. He can show that. You can be the greatest player, but if you got 3 or 4 great players on the floor, what is the resolution to get by those guys? Now, the next thing is, would it be smart for LeBron to go over to the West? Not in fear of losing or anything, not in my opinion. I don't feel like it has anything to do with losing when you go to the West. I know it's more of a challenge, but also it's more of what is the formula? Like the formula could be, let's go over West and build a dominant team and go head to head with them and take an easy win on the West, but the Celtics already showed that when it comes to the East, it's not easy over there. Even Toronto, You know, they put up a fight as well. You know, who's not to say they couldn't come back and, you know, show more, you know, resiliency in their situation. So it's hard to say which side will be smart to play on. But when it comes to financial things, I know that's not the key for LeBron. But when you come to these other three guys, would they sacrifice that for the ring? Not saying it's a money game, but it is a business. Can't take that away at all. So it's just a few questions that I have, you know, that we can discuss in the comment section. Is it more financial and business, or is it the rings that we need right now at this point? Because you got a supermax contract that the Spurs want to give Kawhi $219 million. So, but if he can build the team around the Lakers, because he already had the meeting, you know what I mean? I have to throw that in there. He had the meeting with the Spurs, and with him having that meeting and turning it down or requesting to be out of there, what is his aim? Everybody's saying LA. It sounds good. Actually, it does, but the losses, what it takes to fit that criteria financially, it won't help. Honestly, I feel like different formulas can help. I feel like Kawhi got choices to say, like, hey, I can join the Rockets, or I can fit over in Boston. AD can fit in Boston, in my opinion. And you got, you know, you might lose Horford and probably Jaylen Brown, probably. I don't know. You know, depends on the negotiation side of things, you know, but he said that he wants out, you know, when he had the meeting with the Spurs. So, and as far as Paul George, I know he's open-minded, so I'm sure he's getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of talks with different GMs and different players to try to convince him to go somewhere where he can be comfortable and really show his talents and maybe prevail in a different situation, because we've seen his struggle since he came back from his injuries. It's not a weakness within Paul George, you know, it's just his surroundings. So he needs a better situation. You know, I just feel like the top teams for Paul George, he could fit in the Rockets formula. I feel like he could fit in Boston just for another defensive strength. You know, him and Marcus Smart, Al Horford stepped up on defense as well. So they got a nice front. You know, when it comes to defensive transitions, they can be trusted. You know, as far as the bench and starters. So it's just amazing over there in Boston. So even if you lose a couple players, I feel like it can be filled in with Paul George and LeBron James. That's just my opinion. But it's also something to think about as far as Paul George and Kawhi, as far as do they want to stay in the East or do they want to go to the West, which would fit best for them as well. But when it comes to these great players, it's easy. It's like picking the best person on the court. Like, I want him, and everybody kind of get discouraged, you know, at that moment. These guys, you got AD, he can score 40 points, he can put up, you know, he can grab the rebounds, he got IQ up the court. He's not, you know, he got a mid-range, a little fade away. So he got a lot of different elements. He's the go-to guy. Everybody knows that he's the go-to guy. For him to be known in that light and still put up 30 and 40 points a night. And so him being in a better situation is great. LeBron James, of course, he can fit in any formula. I don't think it's a flaw for him to go to any team. Even when it comes to the Sixers, I know that's a talk where you got Embiid. But somebody's going to have to go for LeBron to fit in that as well. It's always different situations when you build in a whole new team. So it's going to take a whole lot to fit in that Sixers, and I really don't like that one personally. That's why I didn't put it in the thumbnail. It's so many things that I feel like could happen with works, but it's all in coaching, it's all in team, and them meshing with each other and talking, being on one another to figure out what can work. I know that's the top thing is the Lakers. And I do like the Lakers. Like, I'm a fan of the Lakers. I'm a fan of the Lakers and the Bulls. So it's a lot of things can be picked up. LeBron James, not the greatest defender. So you got Kawhi to pick up on that. You got Paul George to pick up on that as well. He can trust those guys in certain situations. He can just take up space. That's what LeBron James does. He plays the passing lane versus anything. If he can do anything, he'll play the passing lane. You got Paul George, that's a head-up guy that'll stick defense. You got Kawhi, head-up guy that will stick defense and score on the other end. You got Paul George, you got the three-pointer. You can slash at times when you need him. And you got LeBron James that's going to attack regardless. So that sounds amazing. You never know how it all comes together. It look good on paper.